All right, Sheil Kapadia does wonderful work for The Ringer. And of course,
He's a pro.
Sheil?
Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah. A pro's pro.
You don't have to convince me.
There is.
And, of course, with us every single Wednesday at this time. Sheil, good morning, dude.
What's up, guys? Good morning.
Good morning, pal. So, Sheil, we'll do a little on the Phils with you, but let's start Eagles. So, the Raiders game, it's a little bit of a grain of salt because they might be the worst team I've seen ever. But let's talk about what's transferable. From what you saw from the offense, what is transferable when they play better teams? What encouraged you? And to what extent are you encouraged by what you saw from the Eagles offense versus the Raiders?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is that they are trying new things. They didn't go into this and say, we're in December, we're the team we were earlier in the season, we're just going to, bang our heads against the wall. I think there was a recognition internally, and I'm curious to hear, how that actually took place, but there was a recognition that we need to try new things. And so you see them doing that with different motions, with under center play action, with Jalen Hurts in the run game. These are all things that they were not doing earlier in the season and certainly not doing to this extent. So I like that. Now, to your point, this reminded me of the 2023 Eagles Matt Patricia defense. Honestly, I'm thinking about it with the Raiders. They were awful. They looked like they didn't know you could run play action in the NFL. Sometimes I had to rewind to see if they actually had 11 players on the field, because I've never seen guys so wide open as I did for the Eagles. So I'm with you with a grain of salt. It's a step in the right direction, but I'm absolutely in the camp of let's see a little bit more. Let's see if they can string together some good offensive performances down the stretch.
By the way, Sheil, I said a week or two ago, two main things have to happen for this team to excel in offense, or at least be good enough to win the Super Bowl. Offensive line has to get healthy, i.e. play better, and Jalen has to play better. O-line, I think they've come together to an extent over the last month, right? Am I missing that? I think they're significantly better than they were, for instance, in early November. Am I right or wrong there?
I'm not totally there with you. I think specifically in the run game, there are still a lot of issues. There are still a lot of plays that are not blocked up well. There are still a lot of guys getting beat. I think in pass pro, it's been pretty good. I would say above average in pass protection. So it kind of depends what aspects you're looking at there. Now, getting Lane Johnson back, that's going to help, but I still believe that those guys on the inside, Landon Dickerson's had kind of that up and down year where I know it's injury related, where he had a stretch in the middle where I thought he's getting healthy. He looks like himself from last year, but it feels like he's still playing with something. It feels like Cam Jurgens is still playing with something as well. So I'm not quite there with the offensive line.
What about, Sheil, the possibility of Fred Johnson potentially moving to right guard now that Lane Johnson could be back from injury? Do you like that idea now that knowing that Fred has played some guard in the past, or is it something that would be too big an upheaval at this stage of the season?
Yeah, I think it's probably something they will not try out just because I don't know that there's going to be a major difference between those two guys at right guard. I think you're probably in the same ballpark with their performance, and so now you're trying to mix in a new guy at a new position and trying to figure out the timing on those double team blocks and all that, and the assignments and all that stuff. So that would surprise me. The one thing they could go back to is what we saw earlier in the season where they used Fred Johnson as the sixth offensive lineman rather than using those two tight ends on the field at the same time. So that might be something more to keep an eye on when Lane Johnson comes back.
So yesterday, both we were talking to the head coach, and I asked about Jalen's injury. Joe asked about Jalen's injury. You look on the injury report today, and Jalen's not on the injury report. What gives there? You watched the tape just like I did. I'm sure you scrutinized that, like the mechanism of injury even, Sheil. What's going on with the toughness, I guess, that of our quarterback not even being on the injury report?
Yeah, we'll probably know more so based on how often they run him on Saturday than we do the injury report. I'm with you. It looked bad live. It looked bad on film, but then he comes right back out there and throws the touchdown to A.J. Brown. I will say, as I'm going through my notes, but as I was watching the film, he looked great as a runner. It's just those inside runs when they're in empty and they run him inside. He was juking guys. He was getting to the sideline. And then that last play there, is the one where he takes the hit and kind of slides awkwardly. So it's obviously something, it feels like to me, that they wanted to lean into more here late in the season and in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts in the run game. If they're not doing that at all Saturday in Washington, that'll probably tell me that, no, that injury was something that maybe slowed him down a little bit.
Sheil, did this last weekend, for injury factors alone, change everything? It feels as though no matter how rocky it's been for this Eagles team, the battle of attrition is one that they're winning right now. And you see the Packers now without Micah Parsons. You see holy cow, the Kansas City Chiefs not even making the playoffs. They've now lost Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the season. You know, the landscape has changed significantly. Should we feel significantly better about the team, or are we trying to subdue our attempts at overreacting because it was just a team that was from Las Vegas?
No, I think you're spot on right there. You know, when you look at the NFC, it was already kind of wide open here, where the Rams are playing really well, probably playing the best of any team in the conference. But after that, there's another tier. Yeah, and then the Green Bay Packers were in that tier, I believe, with the Eagles in kind of that next tier. And when you lose the best defensive player on your team, I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl with this roster. They've had too many injuries there. The Detroit Lions have had too many injuries, and they might not even get into the playoffs. So you're in this weird spot where you don't feel, totally great about the way the Eagles are playing, yet the defense might be the best unit in the entire NFC, and you saw some good signs from the Eagles offense. So I do feel differently about the Eagles' chances, feel better about the Eagles' chances than I did at the start of the weekend.
So to be clear, Sheil, when you reference the defense that way, it sounds like you're saying at the very least top 5 in the NFL. Is that where you are?
Yeah, I would have Eagles, Seahawks, and Texans. I have them in the top tier, where I would say those are the best defenses in the NFL right now. I have a hard time seeing a scenario where the Eagles are going to be in a playoff game and their defense is just going to get lit up, and that's going to be the reason they lose. I mean, we just have too much evidence right now that with the talent they have and Vic Fangio scheming, that they're going to find a way to keep you in every football game, which is a comfort that most NFL teams right now do not have.
So how confident are you, Sheil, that with everything that just factors into this, that the Eagles have gotten back on track and on schedule? Again, it's just the one win after 3 in a row.
I don't know, John. That was the Raiders, man.
I know, and it was the Raiders. But this kind of bump in the right direction this time of year, with the continued, there are a lot of people who say, hey, you got the 7th easiest schedule down the stretch. You can look. You can't complain about that. We play whoever they tell us to play. That makes us feel better about ourselves, and it keeps us healthier. So I'll take it. This team, while the other guys are breaking down and losing their best players.
Here's the biggest thing, I think. At the end of this season, we're either going to say the Eagles figured out how to make the necessary changes on offense and implement them late in the season, and that's the reason why they're in the NFC Championship, why they're competing in the Super Bowl. Either we're going to be saying that, or we're going to be saying they waited too long, they didn't have the foresight to implement those changes in the offseason, and it's hard to make all those changes during the course of a season, and because of that, the offense let them down, and that's why they're kind of wasting this opportunity. That's really what I think comes down to.
What are the odds, Sheil, that they get the offense moving in the right direction, potent enough to get this done? I mean, if you had to put a number on it.
I'm really close to a coin flip. It's not easy to do. The things they're trying to do right now, it's not easy to just say, hey, we're going to change and go do that in Week 16. However, the bar is not as high as people might think it needs to be because the defense is so good. So you're not asking the offense to be a top 5 offense. You're not asking them to put 30 on the board. You're asking them to win some of these high leverage situations and do enough to win these football games. So it really is close to a toss-up for me right now.
All right, Sheil, I want to get a Phil's question in here. And for those that don't know, Sheil's about as big a Phil's fan as there is. So I want to address this Harrison Bader thing with you, Sheil, and get your sense, because Bader's not going to be a Phil. Dombrowski all but said it yesterday. And I want to tell you things I've heard in the last 2 months from a lot of Phillies fans, and then tell me if they made the right or wrong decision. So people say, I like Bader, I want Bader. But they also say, I want the team to be different. They also say, I want the team to be young, they're too old. They also say, I want the team to be fast. They also say, I want the team to have power. And, of course, they get power with Garcia. They get fast and young with Crawford. They get different with both Crawford and Garcia. But there's no Bader. Sheil, did they make a mistake or not?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think you laid it out well there, where I like Bader. I thought he did inject change into the clubhouse and onto the team last year. So it kind of accomplished that goal that everybody was looking for last year. I like the way he fit in and the swagger he kind of brought. Now he is, to your point, Joe, he's going to be 32 years old and he's coming off a career year. Those aren't generally, and he's had injuries. So those aren't generally the guys you want to bet on. So my gut says they made a mistake because I don't feel great about this outfield alignment, and Dombrowski's saying we're all set here, and I go, wait a minute, what are we talking about? This is who we're going with. But I also understand it if I were in the building saying, hey, let's get younger. We can't spend endless dollars here. I understand taking the shot on Crawford, and Dombrowski's really putting a lot on the line here. It seems like he likes Crawford more than maybe anyone in baseball here, and hopefully he's right. If not, Joe, here's my backup plan. July, Bader signs a one-year deal somewhere. That team stinks. In July, we trade for him again, and we're fine.
Well, all is good there, except it ain't going to be a one-year deal. It's going to be a 2 or a 3 year deal for Bader. But I think you hit on it, whether it's Bader or someone else, and probably someone else. They are a prime team again to have to scramble in July to try to find an outfielder.
Yeah,
and that's aggravating. That could be to replace the left field combo. That could be to replace Crawford if he's not holding up his end. That could be if someone gets injured. I mean,
Garcia is no lock. I mean, the guy had a 660 OPS last year.
He's been one of the worst hitters in baseball.
One of the worst hitters in the sport for 2 years.
Dombrowski announced yesterday he's no lock. He said he's our starting right fielder, but he's got to prove he's worth the keep holding it.
And it's true.
Yay, team.
All right.